All right, welcome back to the deep dive. It is February 7th, 2026. And I want you to just, take a second, check your pulse.
If you haven't already.
Right, because if you've checked your stock portfolio or honestly just scrolled through tech Twitter this week, your heart rate is probably already way up.
It has been quite a week. Volatile is the polite word for it. I call it a structural earthquake.
A structural earthquake involving a crash, a massive correction, and we have to start here because the names are just too good.
But the big news, the thing that dropped this week, right alongside the market chaos, is OpenClaw.
OpenClaw. It sounds like a villain's weapon from a comic book.
It's actually an open source system for letting AI agents talk to each other. Think of it like the plumbing for a machine society.
Yeah.
But the reason it matters and the reason it connects directly to your stock portfolio bleeding red is that it represents a huge shift in power. We are moving from humans using software to, well, machines running businesses.
And that transition is apparently violent for the markets because while all the developers were playing with OpenClaw, the stock market was just hammering software companies. We saw this massive correction targeting the darlings of the last decade. And that's the mystery I want to solve today. Why is Wall Street suddenly treating software companies like they're radioactive?
The short answer, the moat is gone.
The moat being the thing that protects your castle, your business.
Exactly. For 30 years, the rule of business was pretty simple. If you own the code, you own the customer, you build the platform, you tax the user.
Yeah.
But the thesis we're unpacking today is that the software moat is dead.
Whoa, hold on. Software is dead feels like a bit of a stretch. I mean, I'm looking at 3 screens of software right now. We were recording this on software.
Of course.
It's like saying electricity is dead. We use it more than ever.
We do use it. But do you pay a premium for electricity? Do you care which specific power plant generated the electrons lighting up your room right now?
No, not at all. I just flipped the switch.
Exactly. It's a commodity.
Yeah.
And that is what's happening to code. It is becoming a utility. And when a luxury product becomes a utility, the price just collapses.
Okay, I see where you're going. But let's look at the smoking gun here. The sources we have point to a very specific catalyst for this crash. It wasn't interest rates. It wasn't a bad earnings call from Google. It was a folder.
A folder on GitHub.
A folder of text files released by Anthropic. Now, I'm not a coder, but I know that usually to tank a market, you need a rival product, right? You need a better mousetrap. How does a folder of text files weigh billions off the market cap of huge established companies?
This is the fascinating part. That folder didn't contain an app. It contained prompts.
You mean just English sentences?
Sophisticated English sentences, yeah, structured in a very specific way. But yes, what Anthropic showed the world with that release and with their new Claude Coworker tools is that you don't need a team of 50 engineers and 2 years of development to build a complex software tool anymore. You just need the right prompt.
So if I'm understanding this, let's take a company like Salesforce or HubSpot.
Yeah.
They spent decades building this massive complex castle of code.
Right.
And Anthropic just walked up, handed everyone a photocopy of the castle blueprints and said, here, if you feed this into an AI, you get your own castle for basically free.
That is a terrifyingly accurate analogy. The scarcity is gone. See, in the old world, and by old world I mean like last week, software was hard to make. It was expensive. So you, the business owner, had to rent it.
The classic rent versus build dynamic. I feel this so personally. I look at my credit card statement and it's just $20 to this tool, 50 to that one, 100 for project management. It's death by 1,000 subscriptions.
And half the time they don't even do exactly what you want.
Not even close.
You're renting a furnished apartment. You can't move the walls. You can't change the plumbing. You just live in it and pay the landlord. That's the entire sauce model. You tolerate the rigidity because you don't know how to build your own house.
And I definitely do not know how to lay bricks.
But now imagine if you could just talk to a machine and say, I want a house with 5 kitchens, no living room, and a slide from the bedroom to the office. And the machine just prints it instantly for pennies.
I would cancel my lease immediately.
And that is exactly why the market is crashing. Investors are realizing that businesses are about to stop renting these generic apartments and start building custom houses that fit their workflows perfectly.
Oh.
The value has shifted from the application to the context.
Context meaning knowing what my business actually needs.
Precisely. The value isn't, here is a tool that can send emails. The value is, here is a workflow that understands my customers, my marketing tone, my schedule. If I can build that myself with an AI for $5, why am I paying you $500 a month?
That is the multi-billion-dollar question, and it explains the panic. But here's where I get a little stuck. If this is so easy, if building custom software is now just prompting, why isn't everyone doing it?
Yes, the adoption gap.
Because we have this quote from Sam Altman at a Cisco event recently,
Yeah.
and he sounds confused. He basically said, the tech is moving at light speed, but real-world business adoption is surprisingly slow.
He's just scratching his head.
He is, and the source material has a pretty cynical take on why. It says humans are lazy, greedy, and addicted to cognitive offload. Basically, we're too lazy to save ourselves.
It's a harsh assessment, isn't it?
I kind of want to push back on that, though. Is it really laziness? Or is it just rational fear? Because if I'm a manager at a mid-sized company and I have a system that works, it's clunky, sure, but it works. Am I really lazy for not wanting to just rip it all out and replace it with a hallucinating chatbot?
That's fair.
That feels like self-preservation to me.
You're playing devil's advocate, and you're right to do so. It's not just laziness. It's organizational inertia. It's the risk of breaking things that are currently working. But, and this is a massive but, the source argues that this hesitation is lethal.
Lethal? Why lethal?
Because of the compounding advantage. In the old days, being a tech-forward company meant you were maybe, 10% more efficient than your competitor? You used Slack, they used email, you won by a nose.
Right, a slight edge.
But this shift isn't 10%. It's 100x. If your competitor uses AI to build a custom tool that automates their entire supply chain, and you're still doing it manually in Excel because you're risk-averse,
You don't just lose a little market share.
you go extinct.
So it's not about being a better manager anymore. It's about pure metabolic speed.
Exactly. The source calls this the productivity gap. The gap between the companies that figure this out and the ones that don't is just widening every single day. And you can't buy your way across that gap with more ads.
Right, you can't just throw money at Google to fix the fact that you're 100 times slower than the other guy.
No, you have to build.
So let's talk about what we're supposed to build. Because when people hear AI in business, they usually think of like a chatbot on the homepage that annoys customers. But the source material describes something totally different. It uses this term AI coworker.
Yes, and we need to be very clear about this. An AI coworker is not ChatGPT in a browser tab. It's not just a helper, it's a team member.
The source profiles this power user. Let's call him Dave. He's the guy who built the system we're looking at. Dave doesn't just use one AI. He's got a whole stack. He's got GPT, Perplexity, DeepSeek, Gemini. It sounds like he's collecting Pokemon.
It does, a bit.
Yeah.
But he treats them like a diversified board of directors. That's the key. He doesn't trust any single one of them to get it right.
So walk me through that. What does a staff meeting look like for Dave and his AIs?
Okay, so imagine Dave is coding a new feature for his hotel software, GuestChat. He doesn't just sit down and write the code. He'll tell DeepSeek, which is really good at coding, to write the first draft.
Okay, so DeepSeek does the heavy lifting.
Right. But then he'll take that code and he'll paste it into GPT-4 or Claude and say, review this code, find the bugs, make it more efficient.
So he's making the AIs peer review each other.
Exactly. He's the manager. He isn't doing the work. He's directing the traffic. He's saying, you write this, you check this, you document this.
Humans direct, machines execute.
That is the mantra. And the GuestChat case study shows why this matters so much. GuestChat is a system Dave built for hotels. And the big aha moment wasn't some flashy conversational feature. It was data cleaning.
Which sounds incredibly boring.
It is the most boring, tedious thing in the world.
Oh, I've done this. You get a spreadsheet with 5,000 emails, and half of them are formatted wrong, some are duplicates, some are just fake. It's a nightmare.
And usually that's a human problem, right? You pay an intern, or you pay a service, or you just waste your entire Saturday fixing it. It's friction.
So what did Dave do?
He built a workflow, a custom house, to go back to our analogy, where he just uploads the messy list, and an agent automatically wakes up, scans every row, validates the domains, fixes the typos, deduplicates it against the master database, and just spits out a perfectly clean file.
How long does that take?
Minutes.
Yeah.
And the cost, fractions of a cent.
So that's where the 100x comes from. It's not that the AI did it better than a human. It's that it took a task that used to be a project and just turned it into a button.
Precisely. And he didn't have to wait for Salesforce to build a list cleaner feature. He just built it himself using the tools he had. He removed the friction.
So the lesson for you listening is stop looking for the magic tricks and start looking for the boring stuff. Look for the spreadsheets you absolutely hate.
Look for the drudgery. That is where the coworker model shines.
Okay, so that's the internal revolution. That's me fixing my own business. But we promise to get to the sci-fi turn. And this brings us back to OpenClaw and this malt book idea of a machine society. Because if I'm using agents to run my business, isn't my customer going to start using agents to buy stuff from me?
That is the logical next step, and it fundamentally breaks the way we think about the entire internet.
Let's role play this for a second because I want to visualize it. Let's say it's 2027. I want to buy a new car, a family SUV. Today, I go to Google, I'd visit 5 dealership websites, get annoyed by pop-ups, call a guy who lies to me about the price. It's just awful.
It's a terrible experience.
How does it work in the machine society?
Okay. In the machine society, you don't visit the websites. You open your personal agent, let's call it your chief of staff, and you just say, I need a hybrid SUV, high safety rating, under $45,000, available within 50 miles. Go find the best deal and negotiate the price.
And then I go make a coffee.
You go make coffee. Your agent then goes out onto the web using protocols like OpenClaw, and it doesn't look at the pretty pictures of cars driving through mountains. It looks for the data. It pings the agents of the local dealerships.
So my bot is talking to the car dealer's bot.
Yes. Your bot says, I have a qualified buyer, credit score 800, ready to buy today. What is your absolute best price? And the dealer's bot, which is programmed to maximize volume, might say, we have one on the lot we need to move. We can do 42,000.
They negotiate without me even being there.
They negotiate in milliseconds. Your agent comes back to you 10 minutes later and says, I found 3 options. This one is the best deal. Click here to confirm the purchase.
That sounds amazing for me as a buyer. But if I'm the dealership, this is terrifying.
Why is it terrifying?
Because I spent $50,000 on my beautiful website. I paid a photographer to take all these pictures. I wrote emotional copy about the freedom of the open road. And you're telling me the buyer's agent doesn't care about any of that?
The agent doesn't care. It can't feel emotion. It cares about structured data. Is the price transparent? Is the inventory API accessible? Can I query the vehicle's specs?
So if my website is just a bunch of flashy JPEGs and marketing fluff, but the actual data is locked away,
You are invisible. To the agent, you effectively don't exist.
that is a massive paradigm shift. We have spent 25 years optimizing the entire web for human eyeballs, colors, fonts, buy now buttons.
And now we have to optimize for machine readers. This is the concept of machine-to-machine commerce. The metrics you track today, website hits, time on page, bounce rate, those are all human metrics. In 3 years, your human traffic might drop by 50%, but your sales could go up because the traffic is invisible agents just hitting your API.
It's like the yellow pages in the 90s. If you weren't in the book, you didn't get the call. Now, if you aren't in the data layer, the agents can't even see you.
Exactly. And this connects all the way back to the beginning to the stock market crash. The market is realizing that the companies who own the old web, the human-centric, interface-heavy, locked garden platforms, are incredibly vulnerable.
They own all the billboards in a world where everyone is just looking at a spreadsheet.
That's a great way to put it. The value is shifting to the companies that facilitate this new conversation, the one between the human and the machine, and then between machine and machine.
Which brings us back to the Church of Malt and OpenClaw. The reason these developers are so excited about these weirdly named protocols is that they are literally building the language these machines are going to speak.
They're laying the railroad tracks for the new economy.
This is a lot. We've gone from a stock market crash to a folder of prompts to cleaning Excel lists to my car negotiating its own price. It feels incredibly fast.
It is fast, and it's broadly disruptive. But I want to go back to something you said earlier about that fear and hesitation.
The so-called lazy humans.
The leverage here sits with the people who get over that fear. The technology is neutral. It doesn't care if you use it or your competitor uses it. But the business that builds the custom workflows, the one that makes their inventory readable to machines, the one that treats AI as a coworker and not a novelty.
They're the ones who get that 100x advantage.
They build the future. Everyone else is just renting the past.
Don't rent the past. I like that. I might get that printed on a t-shirt. But before we let everyone go have an existential crisis about their websites, I want to leave you with one final thought.
We've talked a lot about the machine customer, so here is the question you need to ask at your next strategy meeting. If the most important customer of 2027 is an AI agent acting on behalf of a human, is your business actually ready to talk to a machine? Or are you still just building for human eyeballs?
Ask your web developer that question and just watch the color drain from their face.
They might just quit on the spot.
We'll be watching the tickers and the GitHub repos. Thanks for listening to the deep dive.
Stay curious.